Hi, and welcome. My name is Taishita. I am your visionary of Elite Experiences. I am the founder and CEO of Luxury Travels by Dreamy Designer Events. I specialize in all things of elite travel, corporate organization, retreats, events, and conferences worldwide. As you can clearly see in my background, this month is Paris. Just going over a few different tips for traveling there. Keep updates. I am doing a video of my top hotels, tours, just some fun information to know. I will also be posting some information about our hosted retreats for 2025. The ones for this year are sold out, but stay tuned for photos. Just a few things about traveling to Paris. It's an amazing city. It depends on the time of year that you're looking to go. So, to kind of give you an idea, later in the year, typically October, a little bit later, it gets a little bit colder in Paris. However, it is also one of the best times to travel there because in November starts a lot of their Christmas festivals, which honestly is amazing. Don't get me wrong, you're freezing, depending on where you're coming from in the world, but the Christmas markets are phenomenal. So a lot of the different areas in Paris, they'll have markets you can buy, shop. Some may have activities. They also do have markets that have like hot wine, which honestly, before my first time in Paris, never had before. Is actually pretty good. And then they also do have a lot of different things you can see in the malls. They have everything decked out, all holiday stuff for no matter what you're celebrating. So definitely is something amazing time of year to travel. Later, so when you hit more of like the springish months, so you're looking at closer to probably like late March, more like April, May, you're gonna hit their spring. Weather-wise, it's going to be a little bit more breezy. So you're probably looking at something around like the 70s. Then the evenings, they could probably get in like the 60s, if not a little bit colder. But it's also a great time because the trees, they're going to have like flowers on them. If you're trying to go for scenery for some of them, like if you're doing one of the tours is Versailles, which I'll get into in my other video. The gardens are gorgeous that time of the year. So everything's very lavish. You can see so much things. You can do a lot of things while you're there too. So if you want to do more like outdoorsy things, not have to worry about like packing like a coat and boots, you definitely have that flexibility. Now, um, summertime is a great time to travel. Summertime is going to be more hot in those destinations. Um, Price points will be a little bit more higher, and it's because typically summertime is when most people are out of school, or teachers are out. Some people are go during their summer breaks, things of that manner. So prices do typically go up. So July and August is probably going to be the peak of it, and probably a little bit in late June. But if you had to choose, I would probably say like June, maybe later in August would be better. Um, and also year round holidays. A lot of people like traveling for the holidays because obviously kids are out of school, things of that manner. But what a lot of people don't realize is Christmas, or Christmas or the holidays or that break in between when kids are out of school in December and right about a day or two after the new year, that is literally the most expensive time of the entire year to travel. Everyone is traveling, whether people who don't really celebrate anything, people who celebrate, and it's just cheaper for them to go with their families somewhere else. You definitely, it definitely is high price. So I typically tell people if you have to travel during that time, the best thing you can do is to plan if not 10 months, like almost a year out. So most of the hotels, even some of the tours, they will have like their rates, promotions and stuff like that out anywhere from like 10 to 12 months before. Some may even be out earlier. Um, Christmas is one of the very few times of the year I tell people you want to get it locked in the sooner the better. So you don't want to wait when it gets closer. Pricing is going to get better, more availability. It is the complete opposite. Prices get higher, availability gets extremely less. And also, it's one of those things where you are paying much more the closer you are than just waiting a little bit. So I would recommend that if you're traveling for like the holidays or Christmas, if you have to plan a lot earlier, but if you're flexible like at all, meaning that you can travel earlier in December or even later in January, please do because it will save you so much money. It's not even funny. Now another time of the year, which is also next one that's really popular, is spring break in like the week of 4th of July. So spring break typically is like that Easter week when kids are out, or in March periodically for a few weeks because of the colleges. That's also another one that's not as expensive, but the prices are higher. 4th of July is another one that's the highest because everyone's out of school. People have like longer weekends depending on how the 4th falls. So those are all just things to keep in mind, especially for Europe travel, because depending on where you're coming from, either the flights are longer, the prices are pretty good, decently, if you can plan it pretty far out, but the closer you get, some of those flights double, if not triple. So I definitely recommend planning ahead for that, especially for if you're trying to do something like Paris or somewhere in France, things of that manner. You definitely want to plan out early. You want to do that anyway because like tours and different activities you can do when you're in Paris, you want to make sure you can, if you're going for around a holiday, so whether it's December, whether it's if you're celebrating the holidays, Christmas, anything of that manner, if you're going for spring break, Memorial, Labor Day, any of those holidays or any holiday in general that you would be celebrating, 9 times out of 10, other people are celebrating it as well. So you want to make sure that you can you can plan in advance, not only for the reservations, but also for the tours, because the most popular tours, because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of tours in general. But for one, the most popular tours, as well as the better quality tours, are always going to be the ones that fill up first. So if you ever have tours where they're just like either likely to sell out or they have really good really like star ratings, um, you want to plan in advance so you can make sure you are able to do the tours you want with the same quality you want and in the same time frame as well while you're there versus you getting there and them telling you either when next time it's available, you're not there, or you having to settle for something that's not as good as another one that you could have done, a tour company you could have got earlier. So a few other things for traveling to Paris um, is if you're coming from the US, your passport has to be good for 6 months from the date you're traveling. So whether you're going on a retreat, family, a corporate retreat, a conference, anywhere, if you have to leave out of a US airport, and you're a US citizen, you do have to have a passport, and your passport has to be good for at least 6 months from the date you're traveling, which means even if you have to get it renewed, if you get your passport 2 days before you're about to leave, you're fine. It just makes sure that that expiration date has to be good for at least 6 months to make sure that you're actually, the validity is good. And they do that for a few reasons. It used to be shorter before, but they extended it. The main concept behind it is it's just to make sure if you're in destination and God forbid something happens, whether you get sick or there's an emergency or something happens and you have to stay longer than your travel dates, if your passport isn't good, it becomes a whole problem in terms of like having to go to the embassy and things of that manner. So just to try to avoid a lot of that, they just made it a general rule. And I honestly, I tell a lot of my clients, and I even do it with my corporations. I normally say at the time when we get everything confirmed, just check your passport. Because some people are like, oh, I have time on it. But you don't realize time goes extremely fast. So it's just something just to try to keep, to think about in terms of traveling. In terms of coming from the US, flights. for international travel, you definitely want to make sure you're at the airport 3 hours before. This is for quite a few reasons, but especially if you're traveling peak season, even if you're not traveling non-peak season, because depending on where you're coming from in the US, most flights to Paris are going to be overnight flights. So you'll either leave the evening and arrive the next morning. They do have occasional ones where you leave the same day and get in at night, but most of them are going to be overnight flights. So they also sometimes fall around popular times when flights are either coming in or leaving. It also covers you for TSA because sometimes you can check your bag in, super easy. TSA lines are extremely long, especially if you're also coming from a bigger major airport. Definitely come 3 hours before. I know sometimes the whole like, oh, I have to wait, after you check in everything. Me personally, I would rather have to wait for my flight, maybe grab something to eat, relax, than be through TSA, have to run, halfway across the other airport just to miss your flight because, you tried to get there extremely as close as possible to when you had to. It's also good too because there is a certain time where they cut off being able to check a bag in for international flights. So, if you get there 3 hours before, you alleviate all of that. You can check it in, even if the check-in bag line is long, you're good. You can relax. If TSA line is long, you're good. You can relax as well. Two other factors too, which are completely optional, especially depending on how more or less you travel. But TSA pre-check and global entry. There are two things that are optional, especially is more so for like US citizens, if you have a passport, things of that manner. But for US citizens, they have TSA pre-check. So TSA PreCheck is basically, it's on the government's website, and it basically has you pay one flat rate for about 5 years. And TSA PreCheck, basically, when you book a flight, they give you a number that you can put in there. So when you get to the airport, they normally have like a regular line that people can go into, and then they also have a TSA PreCheck line. And that just basically means that you have less things that you have to worry about going through. So you don't have to worry about taking like electronics out of your bag. You have to worry about taking your shoes off. Sometimes if you have like a blazer on, or if you have like a thin vest or something like that, you don't have to worry about taking it on. You actually go extremely like smooth through. You pretty much just put your bag on the conveyor belt. You don't have to worry about taking like your jars out, like any liquids, small liquids you have. You don't have to worry about taking any of them out. You can just go right in. There is an approval process, which when you go on the government website, they will walk you through, but it does always help us, always something to think about, especially if you travel a lot. It just makes your life a little bit easier. Global entry is if you do a lot of international travel. And when I say a lot, I mean, it doesn't have to be like multiple times a year. Even if you do it once a year, it could save you time. Global entry helps you for international travel like Paris. So global entry is kind of when you go. So say, for example, it also does include TSA PreCheck. So you don't have to do both. You can do one or the other. It's the same concept, global entry. You pay one flat rate, which you can go on the government's website and see it, and it's good for 5 years. It also does include TSA PreCheck. The nice thing about global entry is also expedited when you come back into the States from wherever you're traveling. So like when you come from Paris, you'll hit there. You normally go through customs, wait in the line. They have a global entry area where you can go. You're already in the system. Literally, you answer a couple questions, they take a picture, and you're done. There's no lines you have to wait in, everything in that manner. It is an approval process because you do have to get approved by the state or by the government. But it is something just to look into, especially if you travel a lot. And then with our clientele, we just have the information to make sure that everything's in the system and things of that manner so that you're pretty much covered either way. Another thing is when traveling, because you're packing everything and getting super excited. Then you get to the airport and you go through TSA and they take half of your stuff out because it's either too liquidy, too big, can't bring it on the plane, should have been in your check bag, all of the above. So, just a few things off the back. We do provide our clients with a list of some things as well as checklists for some of their international ones, especially if they haven't traveled outside of the country before, if they have questions. But just a few tips. Liquids can't be more than 3.4 ounces, and they should be in a clear container, in a see-through bag. So, say for example, if you have like 3 or 4 small clear containers that has any liquids in there, they can't be more than 3.4 ounces, or the airport will throw it away. You can put those into a clear bag. It also just makes it easier because if you don't have TSA pre-check, you do have to take that out of your bag, and then you just have one clear bag, take it out, they can examine it. If you have anything bigger than 3.4 ounces, best believe the airport will throw it away, whether it's lotion, a liquid. You can't bring it, you can't like bring water through security. You can't bring like, if you have like a hoagie, all that stuff. So it's just things to keep in mind. Obviously, you can't bring any like sharp objects, any weapons, things of that manner. You can't either. Now in your check bag, which the check bag is the one you're giving to the airline. So when you get to the airport, you have to check a bag. That's the one, that's normally the big suitcase that can't be more than 50 pounds. In that bag, you can put as big as liquids as you want. You can put the full shower gel, you can put the full thing of lotion, you can put whatever your heart desires, lotion wise or liquid wise, into that check bag. I normally recommend though, like if you have like a freezer bag, to make sure you put it inside of the freezer bag, because in case the pressure of the plane or if it gets moved around too much, it's not going to actually like, get on your clothes or anything of that manner. So I just put it in like a freezer bag, put it in my suitcase. And sometimes it does. Not really exactly sure what happens. It's only once in a blue moon, but I don't know if it's like the pressure rise, because it's not like anything like it's heavy in my suitcase, but at least it covers it. So if anything spills, it's not going to get on any of your clothes or anything of that manner. So those are just a few different tips, just to keep in mind, when you're traveling to Paris. In terms of what to do, where to stay, all those fun things. They have a ton of hotels. I will tell you that. They have so many places to stay. It's incredible. Um, I will later this month, you will see my video about the top hotels that I recommend. There's a there's a ton of them that you can stay at. And honestly, I've had a client stay at a range of them. I'm only going to go over a few of them in my video and some reasons behind them. And then I also will have a video later as well this month with some of the top tours that you can do while you're in Paris, because Paris has a lot to do, but you also do have a lot of day trips you can do to like the countryside of Paris, or if you want to see any of the castles, or if you wanted to take a trip to another part of France. So I'll go into that into my video later this month as well. And then I will also give you highlights from my previous trip last year to Paris, which was phenomenal. At that time, that was the second time I've been there. But I have 100, so many clients that I've actually sent there, as well as a lot of corporate events as well as conferences that has been planned there. So I'm super excited to go through what I did, where I stayed, all the fun things. And then I also dived into a little bit of our elite retreat that we're also hosting next year. We actually kicked off this year with a few different destinations. Paris this year, we had 3 of them. We had 2 that was earlier this year and then 1 later this year. But next year we are hosting one in May. So I will go into details about that one as well. We do have some spots still left. But it's amazing because it's nice. It's not a big group, it's a small group. You're staying in an amazing hotel, great tours. And it's just nice because you can get the full experience of traveling somewhere without having to worry about anything, because you have full VIP experience. Once you're there, you have our in-destination team that is pretty much going to be with you from beginning to end. Questions, you'll have like dinners, you'll have tours, you name it, you'll have it. So that's all I have for you today, but definitely please like and subscribe to the channel so you can get all the great destination information we're going to drop for you this month. And then keep tuned because each month we will be doing a different destination all around the world, domestically, internationally. And then we'll also plug it into some of our clients and some of the services that we do provide to make sure that give you tips, just give you a little bit more information about it. And they're going to expand through our private clients, those within our VIP membership, as well as our corporate retreats, as well as conferences that we host as well. So I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a wonderful day and talk to you later. Bye.